If you run a company or manage a team, hiring qualified people quickly can make or break your business. Imagine a position of need going unfilled for weeks or even months because you just can't seem to find the right candidate. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people you want faster. This makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts. You only pay for results on your job post. Just in the last minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Now that is fast. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. Listeners will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Go to Indeed.com/BWN right now to support this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson. You are joined, as always, by Josh Bowe. We're here. It is Thursday night, a little after 9 o'clock. Mavericks played another early game, this time a TNT game against the Boston Celtics, which they came out and shocked the Celtics, 127-120. Josh, how you doing?
I'm doing good, just like we all said, right?
You did.
Just trade that franchise cornerstone, and then you're a contender again.
Lead off with your shit talk about this today, because you were just ruthless in the Mavs Moneyball Slack.
No, I know, because I think this afternoon I was just kind of like, I'm just getting this feeling that this game is going to be close because everyone is so the odds are so overwhelmingly stacked. No Anthony Davis. They're playing the Celtics, who they never play well in the last few years since the Celtics have become like a super team with KP. It was just more of a hunch. I just thought the Celtics were going to overlook Dallas tonight. I thought this was going to be a trap game for them, and boy, was it ever.
Well, the Celtics are an odd bunch. I sort of think if they're choosing to hit a rough streak, which, I mean, rough streak relative for a team that's 36-16. I'm just going to go take a look at their schedule and see like when kind of these losses. Yeah, these losses they've played. So obviously they won 4 in a row before tonight, but for a team that's won 16 games, a lot of them have been since like mid-December and sort of like that January-December lull. And, we've seen it with the Mavericks. When the Mavericks have kicked off, you really want to play. You want to be heading into the postseason playing your best basketball. Celtics couldn't find their footing today. Mavericks came out, punched them early, kind of kept punching, and they got contributions from all across the board. It was a really like entertaining game to watch. I do want to talk about the TNT broadcast because I just can't help myself. Klay Thompson has 23 points in the first half, looking like, old school Klay, running all over the place. He only finishes with 2 in the second, which means the Mavericks were able to keep the pressure on from everyone else, because Klay was really like they were double teaming him at points early in the middle.
They were double teaming him in a half court. Like did they think he was Luka? Did they forgot Luka get traded? And they see a white guy in a Mavericks jersey Klay has his dad is obviously not white, but just a light skinned. Did they see a light skinned guy at half court with the ball in his hands and they thought it was Luka? I don't know what's going on there. I don't think Klay's ever been double teamed like that with the ball in his hands since 2016.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Well, So this is one of those fun games. They get up ahead, they get out early in halftime, and you're watching halftime. And this is where I got to talk about the TNT guys, all right? So the TNT guys made two big observations, and one of them that I think was absolutely on point, and the other was so stupid. I was like screaming at my television as I was eating dinner during halftime. The first one was that, after a trade deadline, when things are like locked in and there's no more uncertainty, a team with a big that has had a big trade should have a lot of energy, a lot of juice, because there's some finality as to what's coming next. And I think that was what we saw with the Mavericks tonight in a big way tonight, where they're, the ball had energy, ball was moving around. It was really fun to watch. The second thing that they did, which was killing me, and this is the TNT crew, Kenny Smith said, well, the reason they haven't run any of this offense that we're seeing in the 6 weeks since Luka Doncic got hurt was that kid didn't want to install any of it because Luka could come back at any point, which is factually that's a lie. Lying to people like in straight face is pissing me off. They were doing the really cool thing. It's a really amazing thing basketball players do called hit shots.
They don't watch the games. Shots. This was never a bigger example of these national guys don't watch the games than that stuff tonight. They don't watch the games.
That's fine. And that's fine. It's just, it's an annoying narrative where it's like, if you want to say that the team looks better and the ball is going to move more now that Luka Doncic is gone, I'm going to grant you that. Okay. That's not, but the fact is they've ran a Luka Doncic offense without Luka Doncic for 6 fucking weeks.
I know. Also, they were doing this stuff when Luka was healthy. Like, that was the big thing for this season. His usage was down. His touches were down. His time of possession was down. Like, this isn't a new thing. They've been trying to wean themselves off of Luka ball for most of the season, and it was working. And when Luka came back from the second, when he started the season, didn't look good. But then when he missed a week for his wrist sprain, which, was a little bit of a reconditioning effort for him, they looked awesome. And Luka had that 45 point triple double against the Warriors, and his usage and time of possession was like lower than normal in that game. Like, he still got his numbers. Like, they were figuring it out.
Like, really, within the context of this game, the Celtics whittled it down to 11 points right before halftime, and you're like, God, like, what are we doing? Like, it's the Celtics. Like, keep your foot on the gas. And then third quarter, the Mavericks came out and throttled the Celtics. I mean, that was, to me, the third quarter run was more impressive than the first quarter run. Granted, they scored 5 more points. But the how many times do things die in the third quarter? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you were waiting for the Celtics to come out of halftime and be like, oh shit, we got to play for real. And you were waiting for that run, and it never happened.
And what I found like really enjoyable, at least for me, and granted, guys, Kyrie Irving was ass once again in the first quarter and in the first half. And then in the third quarter and fourth quarter, Kyrie can't play. Kyrie hit some big buckets. And it was just nice to see. So the Mavericks keep the heat on. We had some great plays from Dante Exum, who got team high plus 29. We're gonna have to talk about it.
Where was that Exum last June against these Celtics?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, because I was actually I thought he played such good defense on Jason Tatum. Like, he drew a couple of offensive fouls, at least one that I saw. Like, and Tatum does like the shoulder lead that drives me crazy.
He's got huge shoulders, so he's very broad.
This is an amazingly ignorant comment, and I'm going to address it. It's a huge part of life for us, but people like you that go on social media with hateful words is the reason a lot of dumb fans go to home games with hate. My brother, if anyone goes to basketball games because of things I have said on social media, really go through my comments, have I threatened harm against Nico Harrison? Have I said he was dumb repeatedly? Yes. Said he was dumb repeatedly because, and this is very important, they traded Luka Doncic. I'm going to say things which are true in the context of which that they're said. So accusing me of riling up fans when the Dallas Mavericks traded Luka Doncic is going to drive me crazy. I'm not interested in that sort of commentary. You can unfollow me. I am not responsible for other people's actions. Please stop. Seriously, stuff's offensive.
I think the fan base would be plenty riled up, even if you didn't say a word for
me. Little old me. I have 20,000 followers, like 500 of which are active on Twitter. Like I desperately need people to get a grip. Like blame the people who are responsible for this. Don't talk about me. My God. Anyway, the fourth quarter comes along, and the Mavericks just sort of, I don't know, like they took their foot off the gas because what do you think?
And then the Celtics backups came in and they actually gave a shit because they were the backups and they're like, oh, we get to play. And they were fun. Like they were trying really hard. Like, let's be real, the Celtics their starters did not give an A+ effort through the first 3 quarters, and then those backups came in and were like, this is our chance, and they put the screws on them.
Well,
they
how annoying!
Defense a little tight.
How annoying is it that Kevin Pritchard and Sam Hauser are considered Celtic scrubs?
That's insane. I know. They're so deep.
They were so deep. And I kept looking at Hauser and I'm like, is that Gordon Hayward? Like my brain was off kilter tonight.
No, I think didn't Hayward worth 30 in Boston too when he was there for a little bit, maybe? Or I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, I think obviously you can't take away a ton in terms of like tactics because I think the Mavericks had some perhaps unsustainable jump shooting. They were 15 of 33 from 3, 45.5%. The box score has it marked down that they shot 17 of 30 in the mid-range. 30 mid-range attempts will be by far the most attempts they have in a single game this season. My guess is that the scorekeeper maybe gave some of those paint shot, like those shots near the free throw line that could go either way for that zone. Maybe they marked them as mid-range and not as in the paint. You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at the shot plot. Like if you go to shot zone on the box score, yeah, it says they shot 30 mid-range attempts. And then when you look at the actual plot where they put exactly where all the shots are,
yep.
I don't know if it was purely 30. Like a lot of them are coming right around the free throw line, which are going to be, they might give you some for the paint. They might give it to you as a mid-range. But either way, they still shot a lot of non-layups, I'll say, and they made a high volume of non-layups, which I don't know how sustainable it is. You know, they had a good jump shooting night, which helps. That's
fine. Well, I mean, Kid was talking at timeouts.
Kid
was talking in timeouts about touching the paint, and
they did do that.
That is an emphasis that I think is carry, like that is a carryover like thing that you can take away from this game. That I think is always an emphasis. But it's a good reminder, and just to see with the new group of guys. This is a good comment that I think worth addressing. Pencognito says Hardy not getting any playing time the last couple of games is certainly interesting. I thought so too.
I think Kid has given him a chance, and I think he's ran out of patience for him.
Ooh, good take.
Right? I mean, he's given him a lot of chances. He's probably now break class in case of emergency. He seems to freaking love Max Christie, that's for sure. Did not take long for him to trust, get that guy to earn his trust, but also now 30 points in 2 games.
Well, he's going to be like the fan favorite, not like a fan favorite.
No,
he's going to be the fan favorite. 21 years old. All the Lakers guys, it's funny. If anybody stayed up till 4 a.m. with me at my ridiculous night of podcast when Luka was traded, my friend Anthony Irwin, love him to pieces, but the Laker fan just can't read the room, and he wanted to come on the show. And he did. And he's like, you guys are going to love Max Christie. And I'm just like, get the fuck out of here, man.
And then he followed up the next day. He was like, I wish the Lakers could have done that trade without involving Max Christie. And it's like, motherfucker, you got Luka. Shut the hell up.
But I mean, so you back away from the Luka element or the AD element, and you see, he's apparently not gotten what year is he in?
This is his 3rd year, and he was a 2nd-round pick.
So he's not gotten a lot of playing time.
No, this is his first big kind of minute season.
And this is a really like hello, let me introduce myself kind of moment. I mean, I made a like a little off kilter comment during the game where I said like, this is the kind of player I'd buy the jersey for my kid. And yes is the answer to what I'm going to do. Like he's fun.
His body type reminds me, not saying his game reminds me of this, but his body type reminds me of Josh Howard.
Yes, you're the third person to make that reference to me today.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Oh,
I
that
mean,
makes it even better.
I check my DMs like a lunatic, and my friend Jordan sent me that message, and he's like, "Hey, this is really something." And like my favorite play, so he had a drive from the left wing where he does kind of a weird, awesome Euro step and gets maybe a floating 12-footer just outside the lane, and he misses the shot and gets his own rebound. And like that's the Josh Howard that I remember. Now I like just the blue collar workman buckets that break a team down over time.
Yeah. And then the other part is he just has impossibly long arms for like a 6'6".
Apparently a 6'9" wingspan.
I believe it. I would believe it's 7'2" or whatever. Like he's got those arms that are like, it looks like they're like hanging past his knees. Like he just, and that was Howard. Howard had a huge wingspan for his size as a wing player.
Well, and we're gonna circle back to this in the second half of the show, but the Mavericks made a trade, and we're getting pointed out in the comments. That shout out to Jared for Max Christie's in the first year of a 4-year, $32 million deal. The Mavericks also traded for why is my mind blanking? Caleb Martin, who is also in the first year of a 4-year deal that's at about $35 million. So just, we'll circle back and finish in the game because I do want to talk about a couple more guys. In terms of if you're removing the fact that Nico traded Luka Doncic and just moving on to talk like purely basketball terms, like what the vision is, 6'5" wings and guards that have long arms and can defend is not a bad goal. Is what
I know, and that's why I think up until the Luka trade, we were all kind of on board for the vision, right? Like,
well, because I mean, the Mavericks did have a long rangey guys, but this is more, and all the guys all three guys, Anthony Davis, and the other two are workmen, like guys that put in the work, and that is very like Christie's known for being a gym rat, and that sort of thing is, and Martin is as well, working his way into the league in a real big way. Just, it's just something to kind of consider as we move forward and continue to talk about this game. It is, I'm just for my own sake, and this speaks back to kind of Eric's comment in the beginning when he told me to move on. It is like for the next 12 to 15 games, we're going to have to, like, as we talk about this within the context of the trade, we're gonna have to talk about like basketball emotions, etc. Like, and just kind of put it into different boxes, because like there's feelings and then there's what we're seeing on the court. This win, I think, is fairly important, at least in terms of resetting elements of that narrative.
Absolutely.
Had they lost this game, they come home to play the Rockets, they would have lost 4. They would have been on a 4-game losing streak against the Rockets, and the Rockets are just a freaking buzzsaw right now, and so it's just, and then
it's the first home game since Luke has been traded. Who knows what the environment,
feelings,
like.
And we'll talk. And so anyway, this was a nice way to go. I did want to mention the Najee Marshall game again. He was 7 of 9 from 2-point range, and he's probably a significant number of those mid-range misses makes that you're talking about. Absolutely. And when the Mavericks were humming, earlier in the year, kind of in the probably between games like 20 and 40, when they,
before Luka
got hurt, and then a little bit after Luka got hurt, because they won some games, like they won the game against Phoenix. This is only their 7th win since Luka Doncic got hurt at Christmas. It's a lot of losses over that period of time. But when the Mavericks looked reasonably fun on offense, him being involved and active in the offense is important. So, and useful.
I wanted to add on to that, because I think that's, to me, the Najee thing is the one big sustainable hope thing that I can take away from this game, because it wasn't just what he did. And I feel like he shoots like 100% on every shot that he takes that ends up with him lying on the floor. Like anytime he takes one of those push floaters near the free throw line and he ends up on his ass, I feel like he doesn't miss those. But I thought the way they used him, I mean, he was a pick and pop guy tonight. Like, he screened on the ball. It felt like he set more on ball screen. I don't have the data, and I don't have access to this data because we don't have access to the Synergy Sports, but it felt like he set more on ball screens tonight than he has like in the last 2 months. And now, granted, he's been sick and out of the lineup a lot of that, but He was setting a ton of on-ball screens and popping to the 3-point line. He made one pick and pop 3, and then he didn't. I think that was his only pick and pop 3, but he still kept popping out to the 3-point line, and the Celtics kept kind of giving him space. And instead of shooting, which, on one hand, you don't want to be hesitant and you want to shoot those shots that the defense is giving you, because, sometimes the attempts matter almost just as much as the makes in terms of threatening a defense. But every time he got the ball swung to him on those pick and pop opportunities that he didn't shoot a 3, he was going with conviction and confidence right into the paint, right into the middle of the floor. And he just was torturing the Celtics help defense with those floaters because they were giving him that. And he was like, okay, I'll take it. And he was being confident. He wasn't holding the ball up. The ball wasn't stopping, wasn't sticking. It was screen on ball, pop out to the wing, catch, and go, which is exactly what he needs to be doing. And if the Mavericks want to survive on offense until, they get Anthony Davis back on Saturday, but they're still going to have to find some ways to score because their spacing is going to get, even when Davis comes back and they get some more scoring in their lineup, their spacing is going to be weird. It just is. It's going to be weird. And we
need to see what they do, because today's game, the players and lineups that they ran are very different than what they've already said they want to do.
Yes, because that's the one thing I'm curious about too. Because they're going to go big.
They want to play jumbo ball. PJ is going to be the odd man out, which feels a weird thing to say since he's been kind of the anchor during the Luka thing and as Kyrie's dealt with back stuff. But if AD wants to play the 4 and Kid wants to have 2 bigs out, that means PJ either has to play the 3 or he has to play backup 4. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's the one thing is Najee did such a great job screening on the ball and attacking off the catch, but he did a lot of that there was only one big on the floor when he did, or none when they did small ball. So are they going to have the opportunities for Najee to attack like that when they're playing Davis and a center for 20 or so minutes a game? I would imagine is probably what they're thinking. They can do it when Anthony's at the 5, absolutely, and you play Najee at the 4 or the 3. But yeah, that's something I'm curious about. I feel like they have survived a lot of this Luka-less stretch by embracing some of that small ball spacing, and that's about to go.
The space is going to go away, and
that's going to go. So they got to figure that out.
PJ is so useful driving and doing weird stuff. And granted, what's interesting about the ideal new Mavericks, let's throw Lively in the mix. And we have a lot. It's going to be a while before we see Lively with this group anyways. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, he's not playing. He's not going to be back till April, if that.
Lively and AD can stretch the floor. They just don't. And that's kind of the question of what's going to happen. And I'm looking forward to seeing, when that will happen in the short term. And ultimately doesn't matter because, Lively's out for at least another month plus. So we'll see where we go from there. Let's take a break real quick. Thank you so much for hanging out with us guys here. As you guys know, we have a official sponsor. It is a company called Body Spec. If you head to the show notes and click the link to the bodyspec.com link, it will take you to a webpage where you can learn a little bit more about what a DEXA scan is. That's what they provide. It's a full body composition scan, helps you understand what's going on with your body. As a guy that sits at a desk an awful lot, yet still tries to stay in good shape. And now that I'm 40, any kind of additional information that helps me know where I am, I find in terms of staying in shape can be really helpful. And Josh and I have both done this. It's a great way. It gives you pages upon pages of information. It's a really easy process. We're talking less than 5 minutes. There are Body Spec facilities and mobile facilities all throughout the Metroplex. It is a really great thing that you can do for yourself. If you use the promo code all caps PODMAVS45 at checkout, you can get $15 off. It's a nice gift. It's a way to see where you are. If you were 3-4 weeks into a New Year's resolution, maybe you can see where things are going. And, it's something that I highly recommend. And again, guys, if you want to support our show, this is a way you can do so directly while also helping yourself. Again, head to the show notes, click the bodyspec.com link and use the code PODMAVS45 at checkout. We will be right back after inserting some more ads to talk about a few more things.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or you're managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place and all on your terms. Introducing Design Intelligence from Squarespace, combining 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology to unlock your strongest creative potential. They've also got Squarespace Payments. That's the easiest way to manage your payments, all in one place with Squarespace. Onboarding is fast and simple, and you can get started with just a few clicks and start receiving payments right away. You can also connect major social and multimedia accounts to your website with just a few clicks as icons, direct links, or embedded feeds, so you can build that visitor trust while updating content only where you need it. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, squarespace.com/bluewire to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
I see you looking at me. Can I have your attention, please? Yes, hi, Wanda Sykes here. You ever think about all the nicknames we have for breasts? Boobs, tatas, the girls, chesticles, bubbies. Heck, you might even have your own nickname for them. And yet, even though they get so much attention, they're still so ignored when it matters most. What's up with that? Well, on February 9th, tune in to see why I'm talking so much about breasts and visit yourattentionplease.com to learn more.
Okay, we are back. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you would like to subscribe to the show, go ahead. We're going to have a Mavs party tonight where if you guys have takes you want to get off, and then we can talk probably for, I can only really want to go for an additional half hour or so tonight. The 4 hours on Saturday night and Sunday morning is still taking its toll here on a Thursday. All right, really big win, important win just for momentum. The Mavericks have some digging to do, and I'm just you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like we've kind of. Are you ready to? Is there anything else about this game you wanted to talk about? Because I know
we probably could. It was one game. I mean, yeah. we gushed over Max Christie. Like I shout out to my guy Kessler Edwards. That's kind of my parting shot.
Hey, Dinwiddie, man, your new favorite player.
God, he hit that. He hit a couple of toilet bowl threes. You know, ones that like spin around, and I'm just like, sure. Why not?
Your new favorite player probably had the best response of anyone. Well, him and Kyrie. Actually, I mean, I know this is kind of veering away from the game. You know, Dinwiddie was great. Exum was awesome. I mean, everyone that played was actually quite good except for Omax, that's not fair to him. Like, just whatever. But speaking of Dinwiddie, and like I was saying, I was about to say he probably said the best thing about this trade, about the Luka trade, and then I realized like, no, Kyrie actually was really good. Oh wait, no, like all the players have handled the way that they have handled this Luka trade. It has been demonstrably better than the people that actually are responsible for the trade. Like I think it's
been great. PJ,
yeah, I think what they've been saying to the media, the Spencer quote, the Gafford's quote, the Kyrie quotes, and I know it doesn't matter. Like what sound bites players give to the media, like that doesn't change anything.
Nope.
Doesn't mean any, like it doesn't really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know how much it means. But when you're dealing with a very fragile fan base right now that is, you know, at the end of the rope, to put it lightly, after this news, I thought it was commendable, and I thought it showed the maturity of these guys, the way that they kind of understood the moment and reacted properly. And I just thought that was nice.
I did too. One thing that I think is good is, and again, the TNT guys talked about this a little bit, but you know, you see the players and shoot around, you see the stuff that's on social media. There's nothing else to worry about right now. So they move forward. You know, AD already talking about how he's over it, etc., things like that. Like these guys don't linger because they can't, and they shouldn't to a certain, like what's done is done, and it's their job. And you know, I think one thing that's important is like some of these guys do have pre-existing relationships, so it's, you know, like I'm not going to sit here and be. I'm trying to think how to phrase this, because I've gotten lots of emails, lots of calls, texts, you know, direct messages of people who are super upset. But it's like, if you are a Mavericks fan and you see these guys being happy, I think it is okay to still like In fact, I encourage it. You should support all the players and the team going forward. You are allowed to hold two competing ideas in your mind right now. It is possible. It is possible to be very upset about this trade and enjoy the basketball that's being played and look forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a sentiment, and especially after that Cleveland game, which is the way I described it, was
the Cleveland game sucks. We're down.
Everyone the way I described that Cleveland game, I think I said in the last podcast, was everyone on that bench, the coaches and the players, looked like they just got off the last helicopter out of Vietnam. And I think there was a fear that the trade had kind of maybe detonates the locker room. And I think we talked about it in our Mavs Moneyball Slack. I think me and Jordan Brodus especially were kind of on this side of, I think I think it'll be okay. Like there was definitely some doomerism, which is fine. I'm not trying to critique the doom. Like you could be a doomer about this stuff because you're well within your right, because this was a crazy situation to happen. But I think there was some people that thought the bottom was going to fall out in terms of like effort, like they were going to lose the locker room and the guys were going to like almost protest on the floor themselves. And I never thought that was going to happen. I don't know how many games they're going to win, but I never thought that the effort and the professionalism was going to come into play.
Right. Because if that's the case, that means there are sort of systemic problems beyond personnel. It means
it's like
playing.
Kid that's coaching.
Yeah, you stop playing for the coach. And so it's like, for as much as we occasionally, want to throw Kid into the ocean, this
is the one thing he's good at for sure.
Nothing to indicate that he has lost any element of this locker room whatsoever. So I was, I could see both things, but it's also, it's a job. There's finality to what's going on now. They know, like, there's a very direct goal for this Mavericks team. It's to get into the playoffs. I mean, right now they're sitting here.
They're right in 10th, I think.
They're right in 10th. No, they're in 8th. They bumped up to 8th. I mean, granted, there's teams playing tonight, so there's like still stuff that could suss itself out because Denver and Orlando's playing. I don't really think anything else is going to change in the Western Conference.
Golden State's playing tonight, and they're currently down 13 to the Lakers, and Golden State right behind them.
Golden State's 25-25, and they're in 11th place. So it would keep them it would basically give enough cushion. The Mavericks are kind of heading towards the top of the heap of teams that are looking to get out of the plan. is where you are right now.
And the one unfortunate thing is the two teams chasing them, Golden State and San Antonio, they brought in some reinforcements at the deadline, so they're gonna have some competition to hold off to make sure they stay out of the plan or to get out of it.
No, there's a lot and there's a lot of work to be done, and when there's work to be done, that can allow, and we've seen this Mavericks team do this 2 out of the last 3 years, like a singularity of focus can really allow for some things. Now, I think moving into things, I'm very. You get a lot of comments about how the Mavericks are too deep at most positions, and you're still star reliant. Like Kyrie Irving goes down, we have problems. Like that's an okay thing to say out loud. I think they need to be gentle with Kyrie's usage. They need to be, obviously
he played 40 minutes tonight.
freak things can occur, but they need to be cognizant of that because he is a smaller guard. You don't want to burn him. He's both your key playmaker and your X factor now.
He's the offensive engine of the team.
Anthony Davis is gonna be the guy who comes and goes, and he has huge games. Like his last game against Charlotte, he had like 43 and 22 or something outrageous. And then he has these games where you're like, how did that guy have 16 points and 7 rebounds? What happened? So and that's not a criticism. That's just the history of him playing basketball. So we're gonna have good games, we're gonna have bad games. But I think that the argument can be that there's enough pretty darn good players in this team to hopefully pick up the slack most nights. And I can see that argument. I can.
Yeah,
so
I can too, for sure.
Did we briefly touched on the Caleb Martin, or is it which Martin?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, didn't we talk about it a little bit last podcast?
I don't remember. When did it happen?
Did it happen after the Cavs game? No, it happened. It happened before the Philly game because that was the thing, because they were playing Philly It happened before the Philly game. We talked about it.
So it's at least worth revising. It's worth revising.
Do you want to talk about what happened? We haven't talked about
I want to talk about like the news element of it. So the Mavericks traded for an injured player, and
they didn't know how injured he was.
They didn't know how injured he was, so they got a 2030 draft pick, second round draft pick, a different one because they had Phillies. They gave it back. Was that for this year? I don't remember which pick.
20, yeah. The Philly pick that they gave back, the Mavericks gave back, is for this draft.
And so they got a 2030 second round pick from Philly. Did I read that?
They had the opportunity to avoid the trade because he failed his physical, technically.
Okay, so to basically push it, they could have voided the trade.
They could have voided with the trade, yes.
And so Kevin O'Connor said this. We're going to publish something on it in the morning. Kevin O'Connor said on his stream that like this with that trade was definitely the Mavericks were looking to do Quentin Richardson a solid because they probably weren't going to pay him. So this is like an agent. He had said something to the fact that like this is a bit of an agent favor getting him to Philly where he can have an opportunity to get paid because the Mavericks were probably not going to go over whichever apron they're near to keep him. So I thought that was interesting. Now they get back an older player, slightly like my friend Spike Eskin described his shot as pain every time you watch him shoot, where it doesn't ever look like it's going to go in, but sometimes does. Which
is it just a funky form, or is he like got a really slow release? I can't remember.
Funky, yeah, I think funky. So that was a fun one. So I was asking him some questions because like I just didn't have Martin takes. Like I'm just. Like you look at a deal and you're like anything under $10 million for multiple years, you're doing that for a reason. The Mavericks are accumulating kind of media. Like these are at this point, it sounds weird to say out loud. An $8 million a year contract is inexpensive.
It's a bargain.
So it's because the cap thing keeps going up. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think what we said last time, like what I said was they're like the same tier of player. Like I think Grimes is younger and better, but not overwhelmingly so that it looks out of place when you consider the cost control of Caleb. But yeah, him being hurt for like 2 to 3 more weeks, like they need bodies. Like that's tough. And giving away that really valuable Philly second rounder, that's weird. Even getting back a second rounder in 2030, which is like, yippee, like Nico's not even going to probably be around to make that draft pick anyway. Right. So
the more you read Nico's comments and hear like kind of read everything in aggregate where it's like I posted a photo of this, the Mavericks like draft pick situation after 2020. So 2028, 2029, 2030 are horrifying. Now that's not right now. And if you don't want to talk about that right now, I don't think we should because we're in the middle of the season. Just know that it's out there.
They got this year and they got next year, and then after that, it's like say goodbye to your draft.
Well, teams. Look, the Nets at certain points look like they didn't have any options either, and then all of a sudden they get all their picks back. Like teams can do stuff, but you have to be like proactive. Actually seeking out proactive. So it's, to me, if I'm looking at this roster, I think Nico Harrison, if he is interested in being here, it's here for this season. It's here for 2025, 26, and it's here for 2026, 27, like 2.5 more years. Like, and he has said things along those lines. So that's not criticism. That's like the one thing you can say about Nico Harrison right now, if above all things, he tells the truth to a fault.
I know.
Your mic just went out.
Oh, can you not hear me?
Well, you can, but it sounds like it sounds like an unplugged. So I'll talk for a second and you take a look. So anyways, that was one of those things that we're just sort of looking ahead on. Cause I think we're trying to get to playoffs this year, but we're Mavs fans. We're going to be here for years. So we're not going anywhere 2 or 3 years. I'm still going to be here. Maybe, hopefully, potentially.
Test. Am I good now?
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. A lot better. All right. And then
you want to talk to the thing that makes you mad I'm
a little less heated on it now, but I do.
You had the fire when we started. I told you not to.
Maybe I'll pick it back up.
Pick it back up. I'm
irritated that this becomes news because I think when you put some things out into the world, it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, let me be very clear.
The Barbra Streisand effect?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me be very clear here. Social media, Twitter in particular, is not at all representative of much of anything. Okay? It is the wellspring for takes. It is an important upstream thing for culture and for what the news of the day is going to be. And so when Allie LaForge goes on TV and said the Mavericks are what did she say here? I need to go find this because this is just I need to get this right because I don't want to say something that's not.
Yeah, you need to get this one right.
Where she said before the game, one big concern though is the safety of the players, the front office. Going back to Dallas, we hope fans make the wise decision and remember this is a game and lives are far more important. That is a direct response to things seen on Twitter and social media. Let me be clear. We did this the other night on this podcast. We did this after the Sixers show. Don't share Nico Harrison's address. Don't tweet Nico Harrison's address. Don't be psychopaths. That's pretty simple. Pretty simple rule. But people on Twitter are psychopaths. And I think by amplifying this on television and then in the Dallas Morning News, you are creating a little bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy here, where you are putting ideas out there that no one had ever thought of before. And I don't like that. Okay? I don't like that. And it frustrates me because here's the thing. It also pivots the attention away from the simple fact that Nico Harrison traded a player who could potentially go down as one of the best players in NBA history for Anthony Davis and Max Christie. Like, I don't want to continuously harp on this trade till the end of time. I think we're going to the same way we did the Brunson thing because you're going to be reminded of it always. But this trade has been universally panned. The only people who think this is a good trade are real hoopers who don't like Luka. And that's just sort of the way it goes.
Yeah, you know it's bad when it's crossed the Rubicon of like mainstream. Like they're making jokes about it at the Grammys. Webster's Merriam Dictionary is cracking jokes. What was the Duolingo? I think had a funny, it reminded me of, and Kirk, you might get this because I know you're somewhat of a lapsed wrestling fan. I think we both liked wrestling a lot. Was the same era. But it was like wrestling was like the most popular thing in the world in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. And so it was in mainstream a lot. So back then it wasn't uncommon. But then when all of those stars got older and, the two big ones, Steve Austin and The Rock and Hogan and all them retired, it wasn't really, that it was still popular for that, but it wasn't mainstream anymore. And I remember that's when I fell out of it. And I remember like anytime you saw wrestling after that in the mainstream from 2010 to like 2009 to like 2017, it was like something bad happened. Either someone died or something crazy, something bad happened. And I feel like that's kind of what happened here. Like for basketball to reach the point where you're getting like headlines on like CNN and like places that don't talk about sports are talking about it and joking about it.
I'm getting interviewed by a Danish like publication tomorrow. Like this is worldwide.
Not a sports
news.
Publication, just a Danish. Okay.
A Danish sports publication reached out and wanted to talk to me. I mean, I got like this is worldwide stuff here. Okay. And what look, and the chat is so funny about this. I'm enjoying this where it's just like, I don't think I've said really anything critical of Anthony Davis yet because I don't really have super critical takes of him. I mean, last year he was second team All NBA, which interestingly, that was the first time he was All NBA since 1920. So almost a 5-year gap in All NBA. A lot of that's injuries and just weirdness with seasons. But
it's a lot longer than 5 years.
Anthony Davis is a very, very, very good basketball player. I would place him close. I would put him in a top 15 rank because it's at a certain point, production, neither here nor there. Outstanding basketball player. Luka's not yet 25, guys. And it's just, it's a different deal. And if you don't like, there's a difference between saying, I don't like watching Luka play basketball, which is one of the things that's come out of this in a real way. Like Nico Harrison clearly didn't like seeing Luka play basketball. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, yeah,
it's okay.
That's part of it. Yeah.
It's okay. But it's like everybody that has some sense can look at this trade and go, we understand why the Mavericks reached the trade decision. What they got back for it was not good enough. The end. Like I lost my mind yesterday at a athletic article where different people referenced Nico Harrison as having the Mamba mentality. He's 52 years old. It's a marketing slogan from a guy who was trying to get past a rape case. Like, can we not do this? Like, I don't want to hear how he has the Mamba mentality. Like, it's marketing.
I know.
Like,
I know.
okay, so he took a big risk. Like, he also might never live this down. Is the other option. Like Mavericks fans, what was your summation of this? Like the challenge where Mavericks players are in, or Mavericks fans are in.
Oh yeah, I was saying like I think what makes this trade extra difficult is for the Mavericks to win the trade, Luka pretty much has to fail. And what has Luka given any reason for any Mavericks fans to cheer for his demise?
He's done nothing to us. Like
this is not a LeBron decision. This is not James Harden showing up overweight in training camp to force a trade. This isn't Paul George going on a podcast before, saying why he needs to go to somewhere. He didn't do any of the star disgruntledness before he left the team that would give the fan base some ammo to be like, oh yeah, you know what? Actually, screw Luka. Like, we're gonna win in spite of him. I know, like none of that happened. So it makes it tough that this guy that you've devoted your basketball heart and soul to for about 7 years, you now have to root for him to fail for the Mavericks to come out as winners in this trade. And someone responded like, well, you don't have to do that because like he could still be awesome and not win a championship. It's like, guys, if a player as good as Luka does not win a championship, that is a monumental failure for him, for his career.
For him, yeah. Because he's
he wants it. He'll tell you that too, I bet.
Yeah, that is what it is. And we're gonna have, we'll find a way to decouple from this at some point, but you don't just shed yourself from it overnight. I think we've done a nice job here talking about the game, the new players, the trade, all of it. I find myself frustrated by the attempt of the last couple of days, which is just clearly from Nico, from like words to Colin Cowherd, this thing to Ali LaForge about being concerned for safety. Like it makes me a little nuts is all. It's a deflection of what has happened here, in which case, the base bottom line is for a player of Luka's caliber, they did not get near enough back. And that more than I'm more curious because it's like, I still think, and I've talked with a lot of people about this, I think the decision to trade Luka Doncic, you can reach like okay, I get it.
We can disagree with it, but we can.
I can get
there, yeah.
Because it's like he didn't like what had occurred is Luka didn't have the mythical Kobe Bryant workaholic nature that ironically didn't come to Kobe until after. Like Kobe was always a worker, but like the maniacal stuff did not happen until after Shaq left, until after the mid 2000s when the Lakers were terrible. Like the maniacal Kobe was the later half, like the Pau Gasol. Like, and he's always nuts, but it's like it's like Luka didn't fit.
I mean, hell, it took Dirk a while to get there too.
That's exactly right. I mean, because like players are in their like a guy in their 20s. We've talked about this, and so bottom line is Luka didn't fit the mythical status in Nico Harrison's weird brain, and they decided to move him. And I'll probably never get over that. Like I had to sit there with my wife and tell my 8-year-old, and I don't care if you make fun of this. He was crying. Like Luka's is like, he has like played as Luka since he was a 2-year-old. Half of my videos of him from a little child are him saying he's Luka, and like, and watch me shoot the ball, daddy. Like that, this shit hurts. And I'm just sick of people who, and it's not very many, it's a loud minority of people who don't understand why this shit matters.
Yeah. Absolutely. The community part of it. I mean, that's
I'm not going to
do.
root. Yeah. Like watching Lakers games against the Mavericks is going to be hard because I'm going to root. Like I'm going to be rooting for the Mavericks to win, but also being like, holy shit, Luka. Like that's just the nature of it.
Mhm.
Okay. I think that's enough of me being insane. Why don't I host here an after party and you go do some other stuff?
Yeah, sounds good. Check our site for post-game content and all the 30 million
Oh my God.
trade reactions we have on the
you
site.
haven't been to our site, guys, and like this is if you're a hater, if you love what we do, if you argue with us, the collective we at Mavs Moneyball wrote 45 stories since Saturday night. Like there is so much stuff on Mavs Moneyball, all sorts of opinions, ranges as reasons, and I think you guys would really enjoy it.
Yep.
Okay. We'll be back soon. You guys stay out here and you can come join the show. I really only want to go about a half hour because I'm really tired still. Yeah, we'll be right back. Everybody listening on the show, appreciate you hanging out. We will talk soon. Where is my correct button? I never remember where any of my assets are. All right, go Mavs. We'll be right back.